Every day, a black name resume is 50% less likely to get responded to than a white name resume. Jalen Ross. My name is Jacqueline M. I'm currently a student living in Shanghai. I'll start out with, what is racial discrimination? Racial discrimination refers to the practice of treating individuals differently because of their race. Federal law actually prohibits racial discrimination in the workplace, and incidents of racial discrimination can take in many forms, in the workplace particularly. Racial discrimination can be hard to identify. Racial or ethnic discrimination in the workplace can rear its ugly head in a variety of forms, some of which can be often overt or obvious. But racial discrimination can often be subtle and more difficult to detect, such as an employer's failure to hire or promote an individual on account of their race, or even gender. Whichever form it takes, however, racial discrimination in the workplace is strictly prohibited by a number of federal and state laws.
The racial wealth gap kept widening well after the Civil Rights era, as you can see here. Here, it shows that the white families has nearly tripled their net worth since 1984 to 2009, while the African American families started out at $5,000 and only went up to $28,000, a $25,000 difference, while the white families went from $90,000, which is still higher than when it was at 2009, up to $265,000 for their net worth.
In 1965, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, also known as EEC for short, was founded in 1965. The EEOC is responsible for making sure that employers don't discriminate because of their
race and ethnicity, religion, disability, genetic information, or any genetic disorders, the natural origin or where they were originally born, their age, which is usually 40 and over, and finally, their gender, including pregnancy and orientation.
For the past 60 years, the black jobless rates have almost always been double white jobless rates. Not only that, but the raw gap between white employees and black employees in the United States can be as high as 30%. I would like to remind you that in a recent study of over 5,000 newly employed workers, black job seekers were offered significantly less compensation than whites by potential new employers. As you can see in this graph, it shows the percentage called back between African American and white races.
As you can see in this graph, it is showing that the callbacks between the black and the white races are significantly different, and that the white callback rates are more than double the black callback rates.
One day, I came across an article titled, "The Job Market Discriminates Against Black College Grads." The article is about how a new study finds that African Americans face a particularly difficult situation when it comes to finding a job after school. The 2013 unemployment rate for recent college grads who were black was almost twice that of recent college grads overall. According to a report released by the Center for Economic and Policy Research, one study found that job applicants with black-sounding names were less likely to get called back for an interview than their counterparts with the same qualifications who had white-sounding names. It's even that white-sounding names got about 1 out of 10 callbacks per resume, while black-sounding resumes only got 1 out of 15 callbacks per resume.
In this graph, it shows how white-sounding names get a 10.6% more chance of getting a callback than an African-American sounding name, which only gets 6.7% callback. That is almost a 4% difference between white-sounding names and African-American sounding names.
In June of 2003, a lawsuit was filed to Abercrombie & Fitch when 9 young adults of color who were refused sales or jobs or terminated because of their race, and then sued on behalf of them and others treated similarly. The lawsuit, filed in the Federal District Court in San Francisco, charges that Abercrombie discriminates against Hispanics, Asians, and blacks in its hiring as it seeks to project what the company calls the classic American look. Several Hispanic and Asians said that in interviews, when they applied for jobs, store managers steered them into stockroom jobs and away from the sales floor because they did not project what the company thought was also known as the A&F look. A former assistant manager who worked at Abercrombie & Fitch even said that there were 110 employees, which were 2 or 3 were black, 1 Hispanic, and the rest 106 were white. In conclusion, racial discrimination in the workplace is a real and prominent problem in the United States, but also around the world. Thank you.